Welcome back, Stone Squads. Another episode, Solving Inequalities. We're continuing our unit to inequalities. So we're solving using plus, minus, multiply, divide. The cool thing about solving inequalities is that it's the same thing that we've been doing when we did solving just a multi-step equation. So check out that video before you watch this and learn all the steps. So the steps is the same. Your goal, your ultimate goal is to get x by itself, get the variable by itself. Later on we'll get a specific variable by itself. For right now we're just going to get a specific variable, in this case x, by itself. Alright, so everything works the same. The only thing you have to remember is when you multiply or divide, the only rule you need to know for your notes is if you multiply or divide by negative, so multiply, divide by negative, you have to switch the signs. You have to switch the signs. So if it was less than, then you have to make it greater than. If it's greater than, you have to make it less than. That's a very important step that a lot of kids tend to forget. So put an asterisk next to it. You have to remember this one. Besides that rule, everything else is the same. But just remember this rule, when you're dividing or multiplying by negative. Not if your answer becomes a negative. It's only when you divide and multiply by negative. So we're going to take a couple examples to show this rule. So let's take a first example. 2x plus 4 equals, let's do greater than equal to 6. So greater than equal to 6. Okay, we're going to pretend it's just an equal sign. Treat it the same way like we did with the multi-step, and then it's pretty much the same deal. So your goal is to get this x by itself. So your goal is to move everything else to the other side. Variables stay on one side, numbers stay on the other side. So what's my first step? Let's subtract 4 on both sides. So you're left with 2x. It's greater than equal to 2. Is x by itself? No. So we have to divide by 2 on both sides to get x by itself. To get x greater than equal to 1. So you can tell here, I divided the number by a positive 2. So do I have to switch the sign? No. Only if I divide by what? A negative. Good. So that's my answer. If I did a quick graph, since we've been practicing that, here's 1. Closed out or opened out? Just a quick refresher. Good. Closed out. And we want it greater than, so we're going to go to the right. So anything greater than is a solution. So you can pretty much test any values greater than 1. So you could test 1.5, 1.2, 1.0000001. Any value you plug in here that's greater than or equal to 1 will be a solution. So for example, if I plug in, I don't know, just 5, just make up a number. 5 is greater than 1. Let's test it. So if I plug in 5 for x, and you're testing is it greater than 6, you can test it by just saying 10 plus 14 equals 6. Is that true? Is 14 greater than equal to 6? Yes, 14 is greater than equal to 6. So you know that is a solution. If you try to number less than this, less than 1, for example 0, let's test 0. Is 2 times 0 plus 4 greater than equal to 6? Was 4 greater than 6? No. So we know that to the left of this will not work, but to the right it does. Alright? Let's try one more example. These all work the same way. Let's try 4 is greater than negative, let's try 3/2 x. Okay, so your question is, how do you solve this? Well, is x by itself? No. It's times that. So the rule becomes, how do you get rid of a times a fraction? Well, it's the same concept. You're just going to multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. By multiplying the reciprocal, you're just pretty much doing 2 steps in one. Right? Normally what's happening, you're multiplying by 3, and you're dividing by 2, so that what would you normally do? How do you get rid of a times 3? You divide it. How do you get rid of a divide by 2? You would times it. So doing 2 steps in one, you're just going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is the flip. So we multiply reciprocal. The 3's cancel out, the 2's cancel out. You're left with x by itself, but what do we multiply by? We multiply by negative, so what do we have to do? We gotta switch the signs. Instead of that, we're gonna go the other way. So as you can tell from here to here, we switch the signs, and here we get negative 8/3. That's my solution. So what we did was we switched the signs, and also a new rule, if you multiply by a fraction, you're just multiplying by the reciprocal. So check your answers, just look at this, look at your notes, take good notes on this, because we're going to start our 3 examples. So that concludes our lesson with solving inequalities. Just remember your rules. Anytime you multiply, divide by negative, what do you have to do? Good, you got to switch the signs. So we're going to do 3 examples right now. Alright, our beginner problem, let's take a look. If I give you 4x minus 3 is less than or equal to 1, I want you to solve this and also graph it on a number line. So you about 30 seconds to a minute. Look at your notes. That's what we have it for. Try your best. Go. Alright, let's take a look. So what you got? So what's my first step? My goal is to get this x by itself. You have a times 4 and a minus 3. Your goal is to use inverse operations. So add, subtract first, and then multiply, divide. So we have to get rid of this minus 3 first. So how do you get rid of this minus 3? You're going to add 3. To both sides. Good. You have 4x less than or equal to 4. Is x by itself? Not yet. Almost there. We're going to divide by 4. You have x is less than or equal to 1. We do not have to switch the signs because what are we dividing by? Yes, we're dividing by a positive 4, not a negative 4. So we leave it alone. We get that guy. Quick number line with 1. Open dot and closed dot from our previous lesson. Good. Closed. Less than, so you want it to the left. So I like to put my x value always on the left side. It just makes it a lot easier. Alright, check your answers. See if you got it correctly. Let's move on to our intermediate problem. Alright, our intermediate problem. 18 plus 5x minus 6x greater than 9. So we have multiple x's, combine like terms, that's your hint. And just get x by itself in about 30 seconds to a minute. Try your best. Go. Alright, how do I start this? Well, we have like terms on one side, so let's combine that. I just show all my work. So 18 minus 1x is greater than 9. It's not by itself, so I'm going to subtract 18 on both sides. So you have negative 1x is greater than negative 9. Is x by itself? No, it's still negative. So we're going to divide by negative 1. What happens when you divide by negative? You got to switch the sign, so I'm going to switch that. And you get 9. That is my answer. We always circle our answer. Quick graph. Here's 9. Open dot and close dot. Open. Less than. So I'm going to go less than. So anything less than that will be a solution. So 8, 7, 6, 5. Any of those guys all the way to negative infinity will be a solution for this. Alright, so where did you make a mistake if you did? If you didn't, great. A lot of kids will make a mistake swapping signs or maybe combining like terms. But let's get ready for our advanced problem. Alright, our last problem, our advanced problem, negative 6 is greater than 2 minus 2/3 x. Little tricky, but we did one with multiplying fractions. Look at your notes. About 30 seconds to a minute. Last problem, try your best. Go. Okay, how do I start this? Get rid of this plus 2 first. How do you move it to the other side? Subtract 2. So you have negative 8. And how do you get rid of a negative 2/3 multiplied? You're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So multiply both sides by the reciprocal. The 2's cancel out, the 3's cancel out. But we're multiplying by negative, so we have to switch the sign. So I flipped it. And then negative is positive, but we can technically reduce here. Get 2 and 4, and then we just get positive 12. Or I can multiply across, you get positive 24 divided by 2, which is 12. That's my answer. How do you read this? X is greater than 12. You can technically rewrite it if you want. Write it like that. X is greater than 12. Number line. 12. Open dot, close dot. Open, good. Greater than, which we're shading to the right. That's my answer. Anything greater than 12 is my solution. So that concludes our lesson with solving inequalities. Let's recap real quick. Only thing you have to remember is if you multiply or divide by negative, what do you have to do? Swap the signs. Your goal is to get x by itself, graph it. Don't forget the open dots and closed dots and which way to shade. Hopefully this video helped you. Turn on your notifications, subscribe to my channel. Let's get ready for some more videos. Good job.